Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Beta Alpha Psi meeting. Today we have Winston Coe here to come speak to us about the opportunities in accounting, finance, wealth management, and also litigation. Please be guided by attention. Again, unmute yourself if you can. Ask a lot of questions. A lot of help this week. So, yeah, Mark.
All right. Thanks, Jack. All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Mark Peterson. I'm a manager in our people operations team. I lead all of our intern and entry level hiring for the firm. In terms of what I'd love to share with you guys today is just a little bit more color on the firm itself and kind of how we operate, what's made us so successful over the last 50 plus years, and more specifically over the last 5 with our growth. I'll touch a little bit on some of those statistics during the presentation here. I'll try to keep this quick so that we can get to Q&A for you guys as well. But just high level overview. So this is a mid-sized regional public accounting firm based here in Florham Park, so very close to your fairly campus. We have been in business now since 1969, and we are a top 100 nationally ranked firm, both by headcount and revenue. In the last 5 years, we have more than doubled in size. I joined in 2019 when we were at about 160 employees. Today, we sit at about 350. In terms of the service offerings, we have a full complement of services that we can provide to any client realistically. So your traditional audit, tax, and advisory verticals, advisories where we start to see things split off a little bit more into the subsections. So that can be litigation support, that can be transaction advisory, it can be outsourced accounting, CFO advisory, etc. And these things are all, in our core practice areas, doing very well. All 3 are still growing rapidly when it comes down to it. So we have a lot of opportunities available for students to explore, both through internship programs as well as full-time opportunities. But just to dive into a little of what we focus on, I always recommend to anybody exploring opportunities at WIS, go out to Glassdoor, read the reviews. I write all of them myself. I've got nothing to hide when it comes down to it. But one thing you will find in common with most of those reviews is going to be that both former and current employees are talking about our culture. The public accounting industry, unfortunately, has had this terrible stigma of it being a very boring field. I can tell you for a fact, over the last 4 years, the people I've partnered with are far from boring. And I will say this, I'm not a boring person. I used to be an accountant. So
that's actually true.
10 years, I'm not a boring person. Yes, I will give myself that credit one way or another. But in terms of our culture, the way that we view ourselves, it's a more welcoming and inviting culture, one in which we foster nurturing environments and opportunities for professionals to grow within their given fields. So whether that's audit, tax, or any of the advisory verticals, we want you guys to not just reach your potential, but hopefully then exceed it when it comes down to it. So just to touch a little bit for those of you who might not be very familiar with some of the various practice areas, audit at a high level is definitely going to be a little bit more of your compliance, focus. So going in and making sure that transaction flow is actually being recorded properly within our client's books. So it's got that investigative component. If you really enjoy peeling the onion layers back to see what's underneath and finding, where there might be potential errors, fraud, things along those lines, this is definitely an area that I would say is good to focus on. It's for the very inquisitive mind that wants to really explore things in the greatest level of detail. Tax, a little bit more straightforward. It's going to be a lot of planning, preparation, research in terms of tax compliance. In terms of internships and entry-level opportunities, I'll have some members come up and share a little bit of their experience in a minute here, but just in terms of what you can hopefully expect to see through an internship or an entry-level opportunity, it's going to be those earlier phases of the tax preparation. So 1099 extensions, getting into those early stages of 1040 preparation, for individuals. Advisory is where it really, I think, starts to branch off and you get into a little bit more of your specialized and niche areas. So CFO advisory is the biggest component within our advisory vertical now. A lot of what they're handling is the recurring work. So think of being an accountant for J&J. That would be a good example of what you might see day to day, working within a client's general ledger, being the one reporting transactions, verifying that things are actually being properly reported so that when their external auditors come in, they can go in and say, hey, WIS did a good job. They do a lot of project-based work too, so this can be surrounding FP&A, financial planning and analysis, budgeting, forecasting. You can get into data analytics, technology, litigation support we'll hear a little bit about as well. That's going to be more of matrimonial disputes, valuation work. Transaction advisory does kind of go hand in hand with that as well. They are doing a lot of our merger and acquisition work. So again, doing the due diligence, making sure that we are in fact protecting our clients. That is our biggest goal here, is to not just service them from an accounting standpoint, but protect them in situations in which they may not have the expertise to make those calls just on their own. So our whole goal is to provide white glove service to anybody that is working with us in that professional capacity. We also have a wealth management group that I want to talk about. So wealth management is one of our fastest growing departments. It has gone from a team of 2 to a team of 8, soon to be 9 in June. This group provides services that are going to be protecting and growing generational wealth. So our high net worth and ultra high net worth clients are going to be partnering very closely with these groups to really ensure that their portfolio is managed properly. How do we continue making the money that they already have work for themselves without having to do the work? The goal really is to hopefully then be able to say, hey, if mom and dad have created, a wealthy portfolio for themselves, how do they protect that and continue to grow it for those that are coming after them, their children, their grandchildren? So this group has right now just under $1 billion in assets under advisement. So they have grown probably, I think, quadruple size in the last 3 or 4 years. And again, we've now had we just introduced a new expanded internship program within this group too. So if anybody has questions around that in particular, please feel free to reach out to any one of, myself or my team members. We'll be happy to see how we can offer a little bit more color around the program itself. In terms of the opportunities that we are right now actively recruiting for, we have turned our attention to our fall full-time hiring class for next year. So fall 24th, starting in December of next year. But audit, tax, advisory, all of the positions are just getting underway. So this is really a good opportunity if you're interested in full-time component to get in front of it. If internships are more of the way that you want to go, just based on the year that you're in, we are going to be launching our spring 25 intern recruitment cycle in about a month. So those jobs will be posted. If you have questions about that before that, again, you can reach out to myself or any one of the people ops team members to hopefully give you a little bit more color around what you want to find out. Any questions for me before I turn this over for some Q&A? Hopefully our professionals here will be able to answer all of your questions. Okay. You guys want to come up and
Why not?
we'll let you guys chat a little bit.
Everyone go together, yes.
Yeah, do some introductions, We got a lot of people here.
Nice to meet you as well.
Well, hello everyone. I guess we could start with intros, right? Mark introduce himself.
Yes.
So I'm a TC. I actually work alongside Mark on the people operations team. So pretty much have my hands in everything within WIS right now, mostly recruiting, training, onboarding, all that you can think of HR related. So I'm not an accountant, but I do work with a lot of them. So I'm here to answer any sort of questions that you have for me.
And I'm very similar to Lacey. My name is Jessica. I'm also in people operations as an associate. Also wearing a lot of different hats, really trying a bit of everything, but I have a little more of a specific focus in employee engagement, but really just helping out everywhere. So just another face around the office too.
Yeah, I did forget to mention, by the way, I'm actually we're all a FDU alum. Duh. But I started as an intern. I started as an intern back in March, so I converted to full time in June. I know some people here probably had similar experiences, so yeah, cool little conversion.
I'm Caroline. I'm a senior in the litigation support group. I was a student here in 2020, so graduated, worked at Markham for 2 years, always in litigation support. We do BVFLS, which is business evaluation, litigation, and support services, also forensics. Wide range of different engagements we work on. I've loved it, so if you have any questions about that, I'm very happy about that.
I wish they would have had that when I was your guys' age. It might be if there was no forensics, I'm very jealous. I have to say. I'm Marissa Pecoraro. I work in the tax department. I've been in accounting and public accounting for over 15 years. I was in corporate accounting FP&A for the beginning part of my career. And then I realized that I was only just a number. I was just a basic contributor. So I had the opportunity to move over to tax, and I've never actually looked back. And one of the things I have so many good things to talk about WIS, but one thing I want to say after my longevity in the work experience is that, you know, as the accounting and professional pool grows smaller, I think it's important for anybody on the phone or anybody in the room that you are more than just a number. I think everybody is like, okay, there's only this pool and it's getting smaller and smaller, and you guys can probably talk to it too, is that it's very easy to get involved in an accounting firm and only be responsible for one line item. You know, I want to go to a bigger accounting firm or a huge accounting firm, and I'm going to be responsible for this one line item. And you kind of lose the intimacy of relationships with the client and how you personally can impact the financials of a client. It's a very intimate relationship that I feel we all have. Like we actually, the work that we do here at WIS is that we have client contact. When I prepare, it's not just preparing a tax return. When I prepare a tax return, I actually am impacting that person's financials. Like you have that level of intimacy. And whether it's WIS or anybody else, it's just, I found my own 2 cents for what it's worth over my long time here, is that you want to make sure you're making a difference. So you're not just being responsible for just provision or just deferral. I just do accruals or I just do deferrals. So that's just my one big suggestion. And I just finished up my master's in science and tax from here in FDU, and that was an excellent program. That's why I'm here, but so your exposure in those types of environments allows you to really network with other people. And when you're in your small groups, you kind of really get the skinny on exactly what other positions look like in other firms. Okay, sorry. Can't put the other one in your mouth. I like Mark, go on.
Yeah.
I don't. You just see us by the microphone.
In the tax department. Hi guys, I'm AJ. I'm an FDU graduate from December of 21. I started interning at WIS in January of 2021. In the tax department, I stayed with the tax department. After I graduated, I started working full-time in the tax department. I've been there for about 2 years now. And I'm also heavily involved on the intern program on the tax department side. So I went from being an intern to now helping run it and training and mentoring all the interns that have come in, going through the 3-month process of going from 1099s to extensions to 1040 prep. And then in the summer, we do have some interns there that get to look at different projects and stuff like that.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I graduated from FDU in spring of 2022. Started interning at WIS in January of 21. I did, I think, 3 or 4 tax internships. I did one in assurance. I came right back. Wasn't for me, but what I love about WIS is that you really get to explore what you like. If you go to people ops and you say, hey, I'm actually kind of interested in this, but I've never done it, but I will learn. You get to shadow people, you get to have an internship in that department. So worked out well for me, but still tax. I'm also very involved in the intern program. I love working with the interns, and it's been like nice seeing my growth, remembering I was sitting in their seats and now here I am full time. A whole year later, I'm still doing it, and yeah, I like it.
Any questions?
Yes, I'll kick it off, unless, I don't know if Dr. Gregor wanted to go ahead. So what would be your guys' biggest piece of advice to somebody that's transitioning from college to an internship or to even a full-time role like this?
Okay,
Anybody?
I can go. Okay. My biggest piece of advice, I think, is don't be afraid to ask questions and don't worry what people are gonna think. I had a very minor internship at a different accounting firm. It was very small. It was during the summer. I did nothing. I didn't even answer phones. It was so boring. But even when I did have a little thing, I never felt comfortable enough to ask a question. But at WIS, I'm constantly asking questions. I never feel like my question is stupid. The only way you're going to learn is by asking questions. And if someone's giving you a hard time for asking questions, then maybe that's not the right fit for you, because you should be in an environment where you feel comfortable being yourself and you have to ask questions.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get caught up on the name. You know, gotta go work for a Big Four. You know, and that's where it is, where it's at. And I feel like when you're giving so much of yourself and your time, it's important to be in a place where you feel accepted and you feel important and not just shoved. too. So really can't get caught up on the name. It's just more or less how you feel, when you start, you're doing this stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's key.
I think at WIS too, specifically at WIS, we really care about like who you are as a person, your personality.
Yeah, we're not just saying that either, we're not
Yeah, but you really do like to see people's personalities. Accounting isn't the most like talkative, exciting, that you hear about too often, but like really, I mean, I enjoy the work 100%, but it's also going into the office and being with my coworkers I actually enjoy hanging out with. I like going to lunch with them, walking around the office, finding Mark in random places and sitting there talking.
Not just the work.
But yeah, let your personality show a little bit. We do care about the work and getting work done and how much you want to learn and questions that you're asking, but it's also who you are and your personality is a big part of it.
I think in accounting, it's very, what I've noticed with people coming in or people that, staff that I talk to, is that it's really hard to take what you learn in the classroom and actually apply it to your job. And especially with COVID, I think there was like a big gap. So you have to make sure that you're in a position or in a company that doesn't mind showing. I'll actually spend time with staff and I'll actually show them how to do a bank rec or show them how to do, sometimes when you're in a larger firm, that's probably one of the good things about only being 300 people, is that there are people that will show you and learn, and I find that a lot in accounting. It's really about experience, like a lot of the stuff that you do, like we learn the basics. I don't know how you guys feel since you're so fresh out of school, but when you learn like the basics and what's in the book, and you learn your debits and your credits, your T accounts, and you learn all that, but when you actually come to it, it's really by experience. That person gets that level of depreciation, this one is this one, and oh my God, what happened to this person? And it's those that they can't teach. So being in a place where you feel comfortable enough to ask and be with, sometimes in a different firm, they just don't give you that moment.
And that's the same thing with that, like taking interest in your mentor's career and everything like that, so having me worked on, for example, I was with someone else who kind of threw me into something by myself, so I feel like I wish. Yeah, especially in litigation, when everything can be so different. Having a mentor or a leader is like the most important.
Some other companies don't really offer that, right? Yeah.
And with WIS, when you come in as an intern, you're immediately linked up with someone, so you have that person you can go to. Oh, I don't have work, I got this work from someone else, and I'm totally lost. Like, there's always somebody to reach out to. And if they're busy, you already have a whole support group of people. In tax, we give you people. We're like, here, if you don't know what to do and your buddy's busy, go to these people. So we're really like hands-on and making sure you're not just sitting there like crying on your desk. That's not fair.
Yeah, I think we straight out of college, especially, so I haven't studied, but I just graduated in the spring. I think it's just such a good time to be asking questions and take what you're learning. And you should always be able to ask questions anywhere in your career, but like specifically right now, it's such a great time because I think, the education is so fresh on your mind to just take what you were learning, ask questions, find out how it connects. I mean, that's been like something great about being on my team is just having that chance to ask about anything and everything, figuring out what I've learned and like how it applies to what I'm doing. And again, I know that you're probably not learning the few flaws necessarily, but just from a general sense, it's just having that chance to really ask questions and taking advantage of it, because I think it's such a great time to find that connection. The information is just so fresh from what you're learning in your classes, it makes the most sense to just take full advantage of that and learn from the people around you and their different experiences.
Yeah, just kind of like adding onto what everyone said, but I think biggest thing, especially out of an internship, is just being open to learn as much as you possibly can. Because that not only will put you in a good position to potentially convert to full-time, but I don't know, leaders will be more, they'll notice you. They'll say, wow, this person wants to get to know our business, wants to get to know how different departments work together and what does, across the street, what do they do, like something like that. So I think just willing to get your hands dirty, learn as much as you possibly can is the biggest advice at this.
I'll chime in here too.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone.
Yep.
If there's one thing I learned growing up, I was a little bit of a, short, shy, fat kid, and thankfully I hit a growth spurt, so confidence went up a little bit. But as soon as I stepped out of my comfort zone, that's where the opportunities presented themselves the most. It was putting myself into situations in which speaking in front of large groups, taking random phone calls that I didn't know what they were gonna lead to, responding to messages through LinkedIn, Handshake, all of those platforms that you guys have. Didn't necessarily have all of them afforded to me when I was in school. So when it comes down to, I think, how you learn and how you grow as an individual, you have to be willing to just kind of step out of that zone and say, hey, the uncomfortable feeling that you have does not last forever. Eventually, you grow comfortable in that new environment. And like many of you guys have switched, you know, companies. It's very similar in terms of departments, in terms of just life adventures and such. So for me, that was probably the biggest takeaway coming out of school was, hey, I'm going to throw myself into anything and everything that I have the opportunity to do. So.
I think the leadership team at WIS also cares.
Yeah. Our biggest thing is we want to empower our people. We want you to feel that you're confident in what you're working on. Again, to everybody's point up here, being inquisitive and curiosity. I mean, listen, that sparks every really healthy conversation I think that occurs within our walls. You know, so if you can do those things and you're, you know, willing to take that leap, go for it. You got a lot of support behind you, you know.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Can you speak about, you know, each department, your day-to-day lives, like what's like an everyday, you know, what you guys do every day, people ops or tax or litigation?
People ops, I guess, is a little different from the accounting world, I will say.
Got
And
2
Mark,
more hours.
yeah, Mark, I'll say for me specifically, at the moment, since I'm just really like an associate in all different areas, I'm living in everyone's world, so helping work with recruiting, so a lot of interviewing, a lot of meeting fellow college students, which is nice. Career fairs, we just wrapped up our career fair season, but that's still something that keeps us busy once in a while. I do also do onboarding alongside some of my teammates every Monday, so I meet all the new people coming in. And just overall, L&D, we always have learning and development opportunities here at WIS. We do our own like internal training, so a lot of that is ran by our people operations team. The prep, the execution of the trainings, the post, you know, getting all of our professional staff their credits for their licenses. That's all us. So it's pretty much what my day-to-day looks like. It really is different every single day, so there's not really a way to pinpoint one specific thing. And a lot of meetings. I'm always meeting with Mark. It's just, that's the fun part of it. I think the job too is the meetings are all a part of, you know, growing, learning as much as you can about the different departments and yeah, just the learning aspect. But
Yeah, it's
similar.
It's very similar. I'll kind of touch too much on the same stuff. Like the TC said, it's a lot of learning and development. So a lot of our internal training, along with that, you know, we're focusing on since the end of the year, so we're focusing on all our compliance credits and things of that nature. Past that, recruitment, I'm still kind of getting a little more worked into. So I'm starting more on the onboarding scene and the recruitment side of things. But again, like I said, a lot of what I'm focusing on is employee engagement, so everything from EO reporting to just check-ins with our staff. So I run our check-ins, we also focus on things like accident review and things like that. So it's really, yeah, honestly, it's a bit of everything, and just overall having the opportunity so I can interact with everybody every day, with so many meetings, we're just kind of anything with the trainings, we're just having a chance to see so many different departments, and being in person is definitely a plus and makes that really possible. But for people else, we're kind of anywhere and everywhere.
Sure.
I'd say as far as litigation, I'm usually in the office. If there's a business evaluation, I have to go to the site, or meet with the client. I sometimes have to go to jail. Yeah, yeah, so wherever they are, we go to them for the lawyers, the attorneys. There's a lot of fun places to go, so I don't make it
The story you tell it.
But a lot of time in the office, and this time in the office, but I'd say 75% in the office, the 15% going wherever.
I have a very diverse day. I know it doesn't possibly seem that would be impossible in tax, but I'm definitely more of a generalist. I don't work on one specific area. I don't just do individual returns or entity returns or trust returns. I run the gamut. So I have a lot of different, depends on the day, but I have a lot of different individual projects that I'm working on. We just finished extension season. So I had, entity returns I was working on, some trusted estate work, and then I was working on individuals, and now we're working on cleaning up our entities. But one really great thing is that every day I'm learning something. Like, I find in my old job that I had before I came to WIS, I was just cranking out stuff. Every day it was the same. It was like, okay, that client's back, what's going on? Okay, that client's back, what's going on? But definitely at WIS, you're given the challenges and opportunities to learn something every day. And sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, right? Sometimes I'm like, oh my God, this client, how does this work out with them? But it's always something different and it's always something new. And even though I've done so many years of this and I'm so educated in it, to do it in real life, you definitely learn more about tax and about clients and code and how it impacts people just by working with clients and working on the different returns that WIS has. And that's the good thing, beauty about WIS, just those clients come there. Some other client, like you might be like so low on the bottom that you might not have the exposure to even get to that level to be able to do it because you're just reconciling, benefits, or, you don't have the ability to be able to actually learn them and learn about their financial situation. So that's
Yeah, when people ask me what my day-to-day is, I usually like to ask if you're asking about like busy season or are you asking about now? Because it's two very different things. Inside of busy season, it's usually just a lot of tax returns. But I tend to stay more on the business side. At least that's where I like to hang out. I do some individuals, but I usually like to work on the business side, and I work on a couple different types of clients. So there's construction, there's real estate, food and beverage, what else I work on? Manufacturing, and each inside of those returns is very different. The forms may be the same, but like the actual workings of what's going on in their numbers and their trial balances and general ledgers is very different. So it is something new every day. Like I do tax returns, busy season, all day, every day, but every return is different. Some of them are really small with like only $1,000 in revenues, and then I have some that have millions of dollars in revenue. And then inside a lot of the work that I do, I also will do the individual. A lot of the businesses that I work with are family-owned businesses, so we see the money come from the business go down into maybe a trust, into a second business, and then into the individual. So we'll work that whole line going through. So it's a lot of right now would be a lot of tax planning for that kind of stuff. So looking at okay, like we're getting to the end of this year. What is your revenue currently looking like? Do we need to do any estimated tax payments? Do we need to maybe think about moving some money around, maybe creating a new entity, like what's going on in next year? So this part of the year is really like, for me at least, like the look ahead of what are we going to be doing for the 2023 tax year during 2024. So that, yeah, usually the first half of the year is me preparing all tax returns, doing stuff like that. As I get towards the second half, it's all preparing for what's coming up next year inside of each of those different client groups that I work with.
You talk to clients directly.
Yes, yeah, talking to clients, reaching out to them, going in. You usually have a team of like, I'm a senior now, and then you have some type of manager, senior manager, and then a partner on that. Depending on the size of the client group, we actually just did a lunch with one of our other client groups, and there was about 20 people there with how big and expansive their businesses are, going across all different departments at WIS. And now this time too, I actually just got out of a meeting, going over the internship program, going over 1099 season has been my past 2 weeks of just meeting after meeting, getting ready for what's coming up. Because once 124 hits, it's kind of slowly ramping up until we get into the busy season again.
So same. Yeah, I also do tax, so I'm working on tax returns all the time, helping interns with tax returns all day. One stereotype I thought going into tax accounting, you're sitting at your desk, you're doing your tax return, okay, done, do the next one. It's really not like that at WIS. I love how social I am. I talk to my coworkers all day, every day. Too much, maybe, but that's what I love about WIS. The work gets done. The work gets done. And I work on a bunch of different clients. I'm on a client group, one of our biggest client groups. They're real estate moguls. There's entities sending money to everywhere. We're on a real estate group together. I do an engineering client. That's been really fun, something new. And I'm starting to get into international tax a little bit, which I'm really enjoying because that's something you don't necessarily learn in school. So I'm trying to like soak all that in. I'm loving it. But yeah, I love talking to my coworkers. It's so collaborative. You're sitting there at your desk, you're spinning your wheels on this. I turn around, I ask for help, and you're not just working by yourself. It's one of my favorite things about WIS. And yeah, it's kind of every day.
I guess to touch on that really quick, for our full-time staff, we work on a hybrid schedule, so we have 3 days, and I think all across all teams it's a little bit different, but firm-wide, 3 days in the office, 2 days at home. And for the internship program, similarly, obviously it's part-time, so we have our interns come in 3 days a week. And the biggest thing about that is we love that our interns come in person for that exact reason. You know, you can roll your chair over and ask questions so much easier in person versus sending a Teams message or an email that you don't know will get answered for a while. So you sit right next to the person and you ask, exactly, you ask all your questions and you're supported in a sense, so you're able to get your work checked.
And I'm usually in the office more often than not, just because I enjoy it. I'm also only 15 minutes away, so it's a little bit easier for me to get in and out, as opposed to some that maybe live like, an hour or something. But I do, like, I'll be in the office sometimes 4 days a week just to go in and, because one, I feel more productive in the office. The two, I like being where everyone that I might need is within walking distance, as opposed to having to send them like a calendar invite, maybe for a meeting, for a call. So I feel like it's a lot easier, and I feel like I learn a lot more when I can actually sit down with somebody, and one of my managers will pull out her calculator, pen and paper, and just run through and teach me exactly what my question was. And so I think being in the office definitely helps your learning, especially when I was an intern too. Being in every single day was really beneficial to learn everything. And then more opportunities also just kind of pop up. Because managers and partners will just kind of walk out of their office and be like, I need someone to do this for me by the end of the day. And they're looking to see who's in the office before they have to start messaging and emailing to a bunch of people like, are you available? They just walk out of the room. They're like, anyone have time to do this real quick? And then you're doing something new that you probably would have never touched at some point.
Yeah, one of the partners that I've worked with almost every day as an intern, we're doing these extensions, sending out letters, all kinds of stuff. Now I'm on one of his client groups. It's like one of the babies of WIS, so it's like very important, and I love being on it. It's something new. It's engineering, so I've been on real estate for a while. So just by working with him as an intern, like over the last 2 years, a year and a half, now full time, I get to work on that client group, do the returns. Went to the office to actually work there. That was pretty cool. So definitely get exposure just by like sitting there.
I definitely agree. I'm a senior and I've been coming in every day ever since I started, just because I feel like that informal training is just the most valuable thing to me. Also, you get to know your coworkers better, going out to lunch and stuff.
Yeah.
We usually do. And then also just, especially if a partner comes out, has a new case and it's something like a Ponzi scheme or something you want to learn about, it's good to be in that front row. Yeah.
Now, AJ and Catherine, have you gotten your CPA so far, or are you going, since you're in tax, are you not going for
I can go first. I'm still working on my master's and getting my master's in accounting. So since I graduated, I was in the 4+1 program, but I needed to work. I needed a little bit of a break from school. So I've been doing grad school part-time, I guess you could say, 1 or 2 classes a semester. So this is my last class this semester, so fingers crossed. And then, yeah, probably CPA. I'm looking at a certificate in international tax, and so I might push it off a little bit. But again, that's like the only opportunity I would have gotten at WIS, because I didn't even know there was such a certificate until a partner came to my desk and she's like, I kind of want you to do this. So another great opportunity through WIS.
How about you? I'm very curious because I'm writing papers on CPAs in Canada and in the US. It's very different. So
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah. I graduated in December of 21. And I just kind of like took a break from, like, I needed to like take a break from studying in school. I wanted to work full time. And now I'm studying, and I'm in the process of studying, but now with the change of the exam, I kind of like taken a step back just to kind of see what's gonna come up of it.
Do you
And
think that's because you guys are tax as opposed to audit, that it has taken a secondary role in your professional lives?
I think, I mean, probably, yes. I knew I was gonna focus on my master's first, but just in addition to that, busy season is so busy. I get home, I'm not studying, just getting through my classes has been tough sometimes. So I think just having to deal with the busy season. But that being said, not to scare people, I do think WIS has like a really good balance of busy season where you're not at the office for 14 hours every day. But again, it is just like a lot, so yeah, I think so.
within tax, you definitely do need your CPA at some point. I believe it's managers and senior managers as to when you would need the CPA after your name. I definitely like I will be getting it. I'm studying for it. It's just trying to figure out like a whole game plan with going around busy season and stuff. Where like there's usually about anywhere from 4 to 6 months that are blocked out throughout the year, which now them changing it and giving you more time is extremely
Yeah, it's a
beneficial.
huge relief.
I was gonna try and study and take one by the end of this year. I just haven't filed for the NTS or anything like that, and I was like, by the time that comes through with my numbers and paperwork to be able to go and take the exam is when the blackout dates are happening and when the exams are switching. So I've kind of taken a little bit of a step back, wait for the new material to come out on my study program and stuff like that, and then get back into it. So hoping to take one before busy season next year and get that started, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I just it's more towards litigation, but could you like go a little bit into forensics? Because like I'm interested in that, and like would that like be something an intern can do at your company?
Yes, absolutely. We have an intern right now, and I believe every year.
Yeah, we usually try to have at least one every year. The program runs a little bit different than our traditional, spring and summer cycles. Usually when we bring on an intern, it's 14, it's for a whole year. We have a set individual and we're.
You do it.
It's awesome. Not our work.
Oh, no, I mean, I got like an email one day about like something like other than audit, like an audit intern. So like I've been like thinking more about like different types of like auditing and stuff like that. It's like I don't know like what discipline I want to go in. Like so I've just been thinking about it.
Yeah, there's business valuation, litigation, that's divorce, a lot of divorce, or investor disputes, but divorce can be fun, you hear the backstories. You hear the people, yeah, there's lots to see. There's the criminal investigations, which typically if you're doing a public firm, you're gonna be on the defense side. So that's interesting to hear that person's story as well. There's business valuation can be done for a lot of different types of situations. So buy, sell, divorce, someone's just selling it to a family member. There's definitely a lot of little niches you could go into. I specifically have done fraud primarily, but I'm learning more about business valuation. There's definitely a lot to it, and totally recommend looking into that if that's what you feel like you're excited.
So like would I like be able to choose or like there's like a rotational period? Like how would like that work?
We do offer a rotation.
Okay. Thank you.
But if you're within, but if you're like within forensics, you'll get experience in all those areas. As your career progresses, you could take valuations, fraud, those kind of things come a little bit later.
Speaking of the internship program, how does WIS's internship program work for each of the audit, tax, and litigation? Like, how would that work from like other accounting firms that are out there? I know every other internship is like different. They do like different stuff here.
Yeah, I can definitely speak to the tax side. In tax, you usually start around the first or second week of January. We're a very big spring. When we say spring, it starts in January, but just because you're working during the busy season. So you first start off doing 1099s and W-2s, which I don't know if any of you guys have had like jobs or anything like that, but that's essentially your yearly reporting of what you made throughout the year. So we offer that service to our clients. It's a fairly simple role, but it teaches you a lot more about how to work with inside of a program, how to send emails, how to double check your work and make sure that all the numbers work and stuff like that. That's essentially just kind of like an upload, send to review, fix your things, send off to go get it filed. After that, you're looking at extensions, which actually starts to deal with a little bit more tax. So business can extend, their deadlines are 3/15, but what you can do in the tax world is extend your taxes 6 months. And more often than not, a lot of our clients do end up extending just because 3 months to like figure out all the numbers within like a multi-million-dollar company, like it's not really fathomable on top of all the other clients that you're working on. So more often than not, we do extend them. So you get to work inside of our tax program a little bit more, and you also get to look a little bit more at like the actual numbers within the tax. What is their minimum payment for this year? How much tax is outstanding? Sometimes we'll get to work on like the actual numbers and computing stuff. After that, then you start doing 1040 returns, which are individual tax returns. Most of the time you're working on what we call kitty returns, which is somebody that is, you know, anywhere from like pennies to files. So you're talking like maybe anywhere from like 18 to 25 years old, where the extent of their return is W-2, maybe a 1099, some interest and dividends, maybe they trade some stuff. So they're fairly smaller returns, but then again, you're kind of building up as you go on. And within all that too, there's always like little projects that come up that we can use interns for, where we kind of teach you how to do maybe a bank rec for a business. What else do we do? I'm trying to think of like all the little things that just come up.
Yeah.
Yes, K1s. Working on K1s, which is a K1 is responses to notices. Working on K1s and maybe putting that into a tracker or something. K1s are your income from the business that you own. It's essentially like your W-2 of the business that you own. A whole little odds and ends throughout it, but essentially within our program you build up. So 1099s, I would say, are fairly simple to do because you kind of just like upload it into a system, double check your work and send it out. Extensions, you're playing around with the actual return program, and you're actually playing with the actual numbers inside of it. And then 1040 is when you really get into the I actually just prepped a whole tax return, like, you know, work through it. We do a whole bunch of trainings throughout the way too. So we kind of have like learning paths that just kind of show you different areas within tax that maybe you don't get to see. Something that I didn't know when I went into an internship right into the real world was like, yes, there's tax, but there's partnership tax, there's corporation tax, individual tax. You get deeper inside of that, you have like real estate tax, engineering, like every little thing is different. So we try and build, you guys can't actually physically work on it. What we try and do is at least show you what it looks like and the different workings inside of it. So at least you learn a little bit more about something that you may not know before.
Yeah. My favorite thing about the tax internships at WIS, I have two. My first is that you're always working with a partner. I think that was very intimidating going in, but so cool because now I'm full-time, I'm still working with them. I think that's amazing. There's no like real nervousness approaching that. Like when you're doing extensions, you're directly emailing a partner. You're saying, hey, these are your clients. Do you want to extend this? So it's super hands-on partners. I think that's awesome. And my second favorite thing is that you're not putting your coffee, like you're actually doing work. 1099, only interns prepare them. As staff, as seniors, we're not doing that. It's all on you. So you have a responsibility in our firm for our clients. And I think coming in day one, that's really impressive.
Yeah, usually within tax, we're looking at anywhere from like, I would say maybe 6 to 10 interns, depending on what the hiring pool looks like, you know, the decisions from people ops and stuff like that. But you are working within a group. You're in 3 days a week. Well, I don't think I've ever seen an intern in there by themselves. Like there's not one intern that works on a Thursday. Like usually you have people sitting around you. It's very collaborative working inside of tax amongst the actual interns, as well as then working with staff and seniors, teaching you guys, and then managers and senior management partners reviewing your work and actually showing you how to do stuff too.
I'll try to hear at a high level.
Yeah.
The way that I view our internship program, I've broken this down into kind of 3 key buckets of what I think all internships should be providing for students at this point. The first is what you guys were just kind of talking about from that technical component. All of our internships are going to be hands-on, you know, talk about not getting coffee. I heard my tissue one. Yeah, it's not just filing paperwork, it's not just getting coffee or running someone's errands. This is you performing duties within what a staff would literally be doing if they were. But the technical components, so being hands-on with the work, Jack, you can speak to this from the audit side. So audit example, high level is gonna be rolling forward our binders, prepare for the next year's, audit. It's making our selections, it's identifying what our materiality levels are gonna be. It's performing the field work and making sure that all the actual testing is being done. So technical component is really just diving headfirst into the actual work itself. The second bucket is the soft skill component. So somebody could be the most savvy accountant in the world, and they might not fit very well here if it's not the right culture match, So for us, we focus on business ethics, business communication, relationship building. We want you guys in on those conversations with clients. Some are good, some not so good, but this is business. Sometimes you have to have a tough conversation. Clients sometimes don't always react the best way, it's us trying to show you that just because someone has an adverse reaction doesn't mean we need to have, the same knee-jerk reaction in return. How do we maintain the relationship so there's a long-term opportunity for us? The last part is networking, and this is my favorite part, as I'm sure you guys can all imagine. For me, I think what you guys can take away from any opportunity, no matter whether it's internships or full-times, is building your network out. I mentioned earlier about stepping out of my comfort zone. That was a lot of it. I started doing public speaking and just going to different networking events. I was probably in my mid-20s, and the people that I met, the connections I generated, led me to a lot of really cool opportunities, both professionally and personally. So when I say networking, I mean these guys, all these people right here. These are the people that I want you guys to be able to connect with, develop bonds with. If you came back to WIS full time after an internship, I'd say that's a great opportunity one way or another. But if you found, hey, WIS wasn't for you, but let's say you're getting ready to, prepare for studying for your CPA. If you developed a good bond with somebody during your internship cycle, I would love to hear the story about how you felt comfortable picking the phone up and calling that person and say, hey, I'm getting ready to start, studying. Any tips, tricks, for me, the thing that I offer to everybody I connect with, resume review, interview coaching. Can't coach you for our interviews, but if you told me, hey, this wasn't the one for you, I will make the time to actually, I will coach you, I will help you do what you need to do to get the job that you really want, so those are the things that we want to return and deliver to you guys. So that's my soapbox.
Yeah.
I just want to get back on camera. That's a great.
Any other?
Can you speak about the rotational program as well?
Yeah, I'll chime in on that one too. Rotational program really starts with the first intern cycle itself. So it is not something that we have an open advertisement up for. It's exclusive to those individuals who come into the program as their first internship. Essentially what ends up happening is after the first 2 weeks of getting settled in and understanding what the work and the role you're going to play are, you'll get an email that says, hey, we are offering the opportunity for rotation. So, you said, hey, I started an audit, in the summer and decided, hey, I really love WIS, but I didn't really love audit. Maybe we look at tax following the spring cycle or something along those lines. So there are some, evaluations that occur in order for us to accept somebody into the rotational program. But the sooner that you get into it, the more opportunity you have to see various components of what WIS is made up of. And hopefully get to work with all these lovely individuals.
Any last big questions? Question chat here. If you could give any advice, what would it be? And if you could change anything along your career path, what would you change?
Wow.
I like that.
Love it.
I already know the answer. I know what my answer is.
But any of it. I guess I can start. So in terms of career path, so again, I mentioned I graduated in spring of 23. Prior to that, I started an internship in a mining company, which was very niche, but it was completely remote. And I did that for a year before coming to WIS. And it was great for a lot of different reasons. It was great to kind of get my foot in the door to really start experiencing things on a professional level, really start applying what I was learning in class. But I think one of the biggest things that I
just always think about when I think of that internship was that it was remote. And so I think my biggest advice is try your best to experience everything. I mean, that's a little easier said than done. But if you have the opportunity to try remote and to try in person, even if that just means trying hybrid, I think it's great to get that experience, especially coming out of college. Because you don't want, I don't know, I think personally, it's been great having experienced remote and now getting to be in person. I found where my preferences lie, where a hybrid workforce, I'm in person 4 or 5 days a week. I really enjoy getting to be in person, having that, those relationships of getting to go over to other coworkers, of just meeting other people on other teams and just having that face-to-face interaction. But the point is just, if you have the chance, try to experience as much as you can so that you can really learn what's best for you and be true to that. Make sure, because I think it's really important, when you start working, you want to be happy doing what you're doing. Yes, I think there's a stigma around working period that you just have to put in the work and that's it, but I don't think that's true anymore. I think you can find something, an atmosphere, an environment, a culture, hopefully a profession that you really like. So you should definitely try to find that and honor what you feel and who you are rather than just pushing up to the side. But I think it's an important experience.
I think to kind of jump off of that too, I kind of lucked out with this, I think, because I didn't think, something that I should have thought about going into like looking at jobs and after college and post-grad and stuff, I didn't think about these things, but like I kind of just lucked out with this. But what you should kind of think about too is what is important to you outside of work and how like can the company that you're working for and the work that you want to do, how can that kind of work together side by side? There are some people that I graduated with that work in Big Fours, and they really thoroughly enjoy that culture and it allows them to do what they want to do. I'm not someone who could have worked in a Big Four environment. I felt as though I probably would have burnt out very quickly. But with WIS, it's not a constant like go. Like we have up and down periods. I get to take a break every 3-4 months. I get to have a nice little month vacation where you're not constantly just going, and it allows me to have my personal life as well as go further in my professional development. And even thinking about your professional development too. Yes, you're going for an opportunity, probably as staff entry-level position, but look 5 years ahead and just see where like with whoever you're interviewing for or whatever it is that they ask you, if you have any questions. I feel like one of your questions should be where, if I do everything right, if I do everything good, where should I be in 5 years? What is your next steps after entry level? What do I need to get there? What opportunities do you guys have for me? Because you don't want to just stay at the same level for like 5 years, 10 years. It's something I never thought it was something that I wanted until I started working and I started seeing that there were positions above me, and that's what I started working towards, and I got there. But some companies are a little bit more stagnant. Some companies are, within WIS, we're growing very fast, so there's always going to be more opportunities.
I think on top of that, I'm probably only married with kids person. And it's really hard. It's really hard to imagine that you're ever going to be married and have kids, and then you need to integrate that part of your life in your work. So all of a sudden, it's trust me, I tell you, it's a big shift. So it's not only, I think my advice is don't listen to anybody else. That is my biggest piece of advice. I listened, and I was being compensated greatly, but I did not have a life whatsoever. I didn't have any personal life. I was all in. And so I was like, forget it, this isn't for me. I want marriage and a family. So you have to make sure it's not all about, the money or the job, or, you want to go off and you want to tell people that I'm working for this really great firm. But you just need to remember it's about how you feel there and what your life goals are, because you're the one that's showing up every day. And when you do have marriage and a family, you have to find a way to integrate that as well.
I guess I can kind of touch on this too, but I am very new to my career right now, so I don't have anything I would change yet. But I think as far as advice goes, similar to Jessica, I actually worked at, and I guess similar to a lot of experiences in the accounting field, I worked at a large internship company before, and it kind of felt too big for me. I didn't feel like my work was being valued or anything was getting done or I was making a difference at all. And that was actually something I talked about with Mark and literally my initial meeting with him, was that I was looking to go somewhere small and somewhere that I can have my hands in different things. So I think the biggest piece of advice is just really, again, touching on what they said, know what you're looking for going in and just see what these companies have to offer. Coming into WIS, I knew that I was going to be working with a small team, so that was already a check in my box. But everything else, you know, the flexible PTO that we offer our full-time people, the events, the fun, the community that we have, I think everything kind of built into that. I didn't want to just go to a place where every day was just work. You know, we have events going on a daily basis, and it's insane, but very fun. And everything else, you know, the flexible PTO we talked about, tax people can take it.
Being married and kids, it's
100%.
massive.
Yeah, it's 100% something that is game changing, especially early on in your career. Just know yourself. I think my senior year, I was really like just focused. I was focused on school, but I was also focused on figuring out what exactly I wanted for myself. Again, thinking 5 years ahead. And just really being smart with my decision. It seems scary, but again, just make sure that you prioritize what, you know, the firms have to offer and what you kind of have as a value for you. But
I would say definitely don't underestimate the work-life balance thing. I got a master's in forensics, specialized degree that got me into forensics, but I started working at a firm where they marketed like, oh, we have the national headline cases. You know, realize that that person's life is your life. You know everything about them. You know the file, like they'll be up till 2 a.m. Like the work-life balance makes all the difference. You get different experiences. I think the bigger firms, they'll put you on something for a year, and that's the only case you can work for a year. So to get diversified experience, I kind of wish I had started somewhere where I had more experiences rather than one very intense experience.
But hey, it's part of the process, right?
Yeah, it was part of the process.
If you start somewhere, you start to learn like what you like, what you don't like, and I think that's the really important thing, especially here at WIS, is a lot of people come here and feel like they like what we have to offer, the positive thing, but again, you just have to try things.
Right, don't be afraid to make a change. Too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, before I joined public accounting, I was doing something completely and totally different. You can't be afraid to take risks.
Sure. Wow, that was a great question, thanks.
All right, thank you so much. We have permission to record, right?
Yeah. So some of our members can't be here because they're working, so they will be viewing you later on. We'll be speeding through the slow parts and then.
Don't we have that graph where it goes up and down?
Thank you so much.
It's all about Sophia's pitch.
Oh, okay.
I know. Nice to
Even if you need to get by international, the CPAs.
It's on my list. It's on my
You're great. You should sign up for the mountain.
Oh, I know.